supposed to hear my voice so I can echo?
Sometimes people have told me that's what they hear. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Token Podcast. I'm your host and sometimes referee, the friendly neighborhood Zach Sapp Pearson. And today I'm joined by he who has been MIA for long ass time, or LAT, a 1TM3.
Yep, that's me.
I wanted to give you points for creativity, but I'm not sure. And more than likely later we will be joined by Officer. He is currently dealing with a gas inspection. But yeah, let's just get into it because, let's not kill up a whole day. All right, so and for anyone who can or cannot tell, don't expect me to get, for lack of a better term, overly animated, simply due to the fact that, well, I have strep throat. And unlike most people with strep throat, instead of having it for 2 or 3 days, I've damn near literally had it since Monday. It is weakening, but it still randomly takes its toll. Especially, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I was just letting the audience know, if I sound a little bit, it goes up and down. I was letting the audience know if I sound a little bit unnaturally low or raspy at random, it's because I've been dealing with strep throat since last Monday.
Raspy, deep. Yeah. My sympathies, dude.
All right. So, our topics are as follows. Is the PS5 Pro even necessary? Should it have happened? Or should it have happened in the form that it did? Our second topic is... crap. I think I forgot what the second topic is. Let me pull it up.
I believe it was Square Enix being partially owned by Sony.
So, do you perceive the partial ownership or stake in Square Enix Holdings Company by Sony as a gift or a burden on Square Enix? And if we burn through those questions too fast, we have the added bonus of what was going to be on our next podcast, are video game related movies and or TV series better off in one format or the other? Are they better off in TV, or is it better off in movie format? Or in some cases, it doesn't matter as long as it's interesting or good. All right, so TM3, you're going to start off because I'm going to get cough drops and order food, and your ass has been MIA too damn long. So tell us how you feel about the PS5 Pro and its necessariness or lack thereof.
More or less, I think the PS5 Pro was a cash grab. I don't think they expected, as far as I know, people couldn't get PS5s for a long, long time. So I believe that affected the sales, in my opinion. So they're trying to get more money out of their, customers by selling a whole new Pro console this early on, especially with it not having the disc. It's like, is it really a Pro? Why are you giving half the things that we want? It seems very cash grabby.
Honestly,
so remember that part where you have to tell me when you're done?
You cut out. You said, tell me what?
I said, do you remember that part where you have to let us know when you're done?
Oh yeah, I definitely did, because I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm done with my section.
Okay, officer. You're coming through. It's just a delay on when I speak for some reason.
Okay, weird. Okay, so Sony suddenly throwing out another PlayStation 5. Honestly, yeah, I'm with the whole sentiment that they're probably doing this as a cash grab. Because, as was just said, the whole initial release of the PS5, you could barely find anywhere for most of the initial release period. I'm told it's really not so bad now, and about as of a year ago, maybe 6 months ago. It's a lot easier to get one, but beginning, yeah, couldn't really get one. But more than likely, what they're going to be doing here is big old cash grab. They're not doing this to, make it a super fancy, better PS5. It's at best probably maybe a half step forward rather than a full step. Honestly, I don't think it's worth it. That's about all I have to say on that topic.
Okay. Thank you for letting us know. All right, so I'm going to tell you right now, you guys may hear me break up or cut out, but the audience will not. So what's going to happen is when I finish, just in case, I'm going to hit the words "I'm done." So that way there's no, level of confusion. Now, hold on. I got my drink. Let me get my motherfucking glasses for this, because we going to be going on an adventure.
Oh, Lord.
All right. Now, let me ask you boys something real quick. Who here knows about Game Ranks or the famous Jake Baldino?
Can't say the name rings a bell.
Okay, well, what about Game Ranks with an X?
That does ring a bell.
He's the guy who made it. He's the guy you always see in front of the screen during the videos. Unless it's Falcon, who just uses an avatar of a bird. Anyways, okay. When this shit was announced, one of his first social media responses was, "Yes, it is too expensive. No, I should not be buying it. I am the problem, and I am going to get a copy, and I am going to pay the exorbitant fee." Mind you, I'm barely paraphrasing. There's a difference between making something for a fanboy, and in this case, I don't use that term pejoratively, versus making something that could be deemed as necessary or intended. Now, I know you guys don't remember it because, let's be honest, how often does anybody remember looking at the bottom of a GameCube or the Dreamcast longer than the first time you fucking bought the damn thing? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Fair enough. Unless you swear, get bored as hell one day.
I remember taking a look at it a couple times.
Yep. All right, now, let's just go into Google real quick. What are the bottom ports on a GameCube? One of the ports was an attachment that let the GameCube go online. There were two models of this attachment, one for broadband connection and one for modem. You could play Phantasy Star online for like $10, and it was really the only motherfucking thing. Serial port 1 and serial port 2 used for Pro DG Plus devices, which I don't even know if they came out over here. And the high-speed parallel port used for the Game Boy player, which does exactly what you think it does. However, theoretically, third parties could make things that go, directly to it and do whatever they wanted it to do. Now, guess what we all know essentially never happened until after the GameCube was extinct and people just wanted to use their GameCube still in the modern era. Exactly that. Legitimately. I'm gonna drop you guys a link to the bottom of the bitch too. That's one of the best resolutions of the bottom of the GameCube too. That's just from 3 years ago. Some people don't even remember that there was more than one port. They just remember the Ethernet port or the modem port.
So that's what that was. I remember seeing it, I just never thought much of it.
Interesting. My little kid brain couldn't process that.
and almost no third party legitimately made anything for those ports. Well, no legitimately recognized third party. Let me rephrase that. Everyone knows Japan hates Game Shark and Game Shark-like devices with the flaming passion of 1,000 suns. But anyways, they had the ability to take things and make them necessary or unnecessary based on what could or could not be done, or what a third party would or would not want to try to get done. Now let's think about Sony real quick. Oh, Sony. Sony, these motherfuckers. First and foremost, quick recap. There is some form of defect or possible issue with every single base model, original, first to be distributed PlayStation that there's ever been. PlayStation 1, shit was not properly soldered and secured to the board, so you could randomly go into situations where if you just leaned it to the left or the right, you'll hear rattling in that bitch. Like somebody threw a piece of change fucking in a suitcase. We all know about that one.
Yep.
Original PlayStation 2.
I remember that.
That motherfucking eye would just randomly fucking die on you. And in some weird cases, it would stop reading PS2 games and only read PS1 games. PlayStation 3. Too many to name. Chief among them, overheating because these dumbasses put in a fan that wasn't strong enough for the system that it goes to. I can't even blame IBM for that one. PlayStation 4. They almost got it right. One of the only things wrong with the PlayStation 4, the original one, is that it became a safe haven for creepy crawlies. But to be fair, that's not technically on Sony. Every electronic device has a chance of getting an infestation. But for the most part, the PS4 they got right. Now, when we get to the PS5, oh shit. First off, the thing is capable and meant to be played on its side, but you have to buy a goddamn accessory for that shit. So most people played it upright. They literally didn't put on enough fucking cooling gel or whatever it's called for the processor. So depending on how long or hard your game session, if you're playing that bitch in an upright position, you basically have a small chance of having a circuitry board fire or a motherboard fire. Your shit ain't coming back from that.
Yup, it's gone.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to where I think, well, TM3 hasn't seen it, but my PlayStation 5 has been modified to have better breathing capabilities, and it's got a filter on it. And even though it shouldn't have cost $15, I paid the extra $15 to make sure my PS5 can comfortably lay flat. And it's also purple with a little bit of carbon fiber on it.
How very Mace Windu.
Okay.
I'll take that. I actually know who that is. So I'm used to there being a problem, and I think most of us are. But we also know, especially if it's a Generation 1 problem, as in the model generation, not the year, you can send them bitches back, they'll fix it, and give it back to you. So imagine my surprise when we start having PlayStation games that can't even properly run in the settings that they fucking have. Why is it that we went from 1080 to 4K? What was wrong with 2K? We literally got TV monitors that have a 2K mode built in after we had years of a 4K mode. Am I the only one who finds that just a little bit fucking weird?
Honestly, yeah. Why did we skip 2K?
Bigger number. They were really hoping that bigger number means like get now.
which is dumb, because if anybody who does data processing or any form of media will automatically knows, the more data there is, the higher the resolution, the bigger the multiple of the data. And then that doesn't factor in if there's something extremely crazy going on screen. A 4K video data, 10 seconds of footage sometimes, if there's a lot of shit going on, could almost equal a whole entire gigabyte by itself. 10 fucking seconds. There are also some movies, once streamed, they essentially never go into 4K. Not because, these assholes are secretly bottle capping the speed. First off, it's not a secret anymore. We know they do it. But no, it's because there's so much shit going on. Even with good internet, it's a fucking problem when streaming. Because the way the streams are set up, they're automatically designed, and we can't control this, to try and continue to show you the picture even if the resolution does not stay the same. You can't resolution lock Hulu, Amazon, or fucking Netflix. One of the most annoying cases, ironically being a Sony product, the first Spider-Verse movie. The final sequence, when all those black dots are everywhere, they're in the giant hydrogen collider thing. Miles is fighting Kingpin and shit. Almost anytime I've watched that movie, I literally hit the info button, which people keep forgetting. The info button, if you press it on a controller while you watch Netflix, it'll give you the real-time speed that the data is being transferred and the resolution in real time. It'll stay up on the top left-hand corner of your screen. Yeah, bet y'all didn't know that one. I have never got it, even when I had premium internet. Even when I had premium internet, I've never got it to display in 720. 720. And I have 4K Netflix. I never got it to display in 720.
Why?
Yeah. Why? Because there's too much shit going on and too much data to process. And this is even after I let the whole movie process through. I just got curious, rolled it back from the credits, went to that exact spot. 480. So, I think what they should have done, since the magic of the USB port essentially came into existence, or it got normalized around the exact same time the GameCube came out, all these motherfuckers had to do and should have done is go in and use the high-speed USB port in the back, the 3.1, or use the HDMI 3.1 in a combo cable, and made it so they could have essentially the Sega situation. And we all know how the Sega situation worked. For some reason, instead of just going to the next system, Sega wanted to make it so everything from before the Dreamcast could connect or link to a previous other device. It was weird. But they were somewhat ahead of their time, as we've always said with Sega, especially when they got to the Dreamcast. That's all they should have done. This PlayStation 5 Pro, in my opinion, yes, I do believe it should not have existed. But when I say that, what I mean is it should not have existed in the format that it is. It shouldn't be a whole new fucking system. It should be a small box that maybe has extra graphical power, extra RAM, and extra shit. Basically the expansion slot shit that they did with the 64, which gave birth to the expansion slots on the bottom of the GameCube. Or extra ports they had on the bottom of the GameCube. That's what the fuck they should have done. And I do mean that. And they could have charged $100 for it and I would have been happy. Not only is the PS4 Pro...
Fair.
Yeah, I know. Not only is the PS4 Pro slightly stronger than the PlayStation 5, most of the features that it can utilize, most people aren't going to fuck with. Let's be honest, 4K monitors are cheap, but not everybody's going up from a 1080 monitor. And even if you do have a 4K monitor, we all know there's a price bracket difference the minute you start going up in FPS. So if your monitor or hertz, so if your monitor is only going to 60 or that's all you gonna fuck with until maybe the 6K monitors come out. God, I think I might want to be dead before that happens. Fucking, or you say you're an ultra hyper PC gamer, you got a 240 hertz monitor and it's 4K and it does all this other type of shit. You know damn well that TV can cost you damn near $4,000 or $5,000. That's as much as a high-end gaming PC. A stupidly high-end gaming PC.
Unless you skip
and then your
6
processor
and go to 8.
Yeah, and your processor is about, well, I think they said only 20% stronger. Bro, you really telling me none of this could have just been something that I plugged into a high-speed data cable and stuck in the back of my PlayStation? And then the worst thing that really gets me about the PS5 Pro, it can read disc, but you have to buy the disc attachment fucking separately.
That's some iPhone type stuff.
Yeah.
And it uses the same it uses the exact same type of disc, detachable disc drive as the 2.0 version of the regular PlayStation 5, which is another reason why I think this shit shouldn't have happened. You already just made another PlayStation 5 that literally doesn't do anything different except look different on paper. Oh, well, it does some things a little bit more efficient. You mean like your PS5 Pro does? I literally do not know. And we're gonna, I guess, verbal Google in real time. What are the major differences? What are the differences between the PlayStation? What the fuck? Okay, that didn't work. Let me just spell it. What are the differences between the PS5 and the PS5 Slim? Now, this excerpt is coming from an article from Wired.com, one of the legitimate legends in the world of pop culture and technology. I've respected Wired for a long ass time. Unlike the past mid-cycle refreshers like the PS4 Pro, the PS5 Slim is more of a replacement than an addition to the lineup. When inventory of the original sells out, you'll only be able to find the Slim. The Slim model doesn't upgrade any of the core specs like the processor or RAM, though it does come with a bit of extra storage. The original PS5 came with 825 of internal storage. The PS5 Slim comes with 1 terabyte, and I believe the Pro comes with 2 terabytes. So literally, it's a design change.
So it's like the PS3 Slim.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the same shit they did with the PS3.
No, the PS3 Slim couldn't read fucking PS2 games anymore, so...
Okay, point.
Huh? Oh. I want so much.
Yeah. So yeah. They own that bullshit. If they wanted to do a limited edition for their anniversary, I wouldn't be mad. The problem is, first off, that limited edition doesn't even, PlayStation Anniversary Edition doesn't come with a disc drive. I don't know if y'all knew that or not. Oh, that pissed me off. The problem is that they did not need to make it a system. They could have made it an external graphic card processing unit, which is becoming more common. I won't necessarily say popular, but it's becoming more common. Originally, when it first came out, Alienware was the only one to do it. It was a specialized cable that you could only get from Alienware, and they wanted to be pricks about the shit. So, if memory serves, you couldn't even get that new cable by itself. You would have to order the entire enclosure all over again. And then we got down to the ultimate USB port, which is the USB-C. Now, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but a USB-C can technically do everything. It can send every form of data that you can think of. And it can also, it doesn't just do low power and high power for phones. So this thing is basically, it's essentially living up to its name. Universal serial bus. That thing could literally bus anything from data to audio, resolution shit. Everything you can think of could go through that cable because it was a legitimate high-end data cable. But of course, not every version of USB-C cables are high-end data cables. We all know this. Some are just meant to charge phones. Wow, okay. So that's why I think it shouldn't have happened, because they literally could have made this an external device that was not a game system in and of itself. Now, moving into our next topic. All right. So, as we all know, Sony has had a very interesting relationship with Square Enix. Basically, the minute they stopped fucking with Nintendo, which they didn't want to do on purpose, Sony has stepped in and tried to do contractual obligations to get exclusivities. However, on top of that, what a lot of people have forgotten, they own, if memory serves, 25% of Square Enix holdings. Reminder, Square Enix is a holdings company, it's not a game studio. The game studio is a subsidiary of the holdings company. Okay. Now, here's the thing. This means that essentially, at their discretion, there's a massive and chronic delay on when their titles go on any other platform or when it goes over to the Microsofts and the Nintendos. Now, as a company, it doesn't matter if a game is exclusive or not. It matters if it sells well and it is well liked. Square Enix has had this unusual problem of creating some of the greatest games of their generation or memorable adventures, but they will have the CEO complaining, oh, it didn't make enough money though. I know the big thing to point to is Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7's remakes. However, this shit ain't new. They've had idiot presidents saying this on and off for almost 20 years. Like, go back to the original Tomb Raider second remake, because Tomb Raider somehow got remade twice in under 20 years. That's weird. They sold 4 million and the president said it underperformed. And he didn't stop and retract his statement until the internet started bitching about it. So, officer, I'm going to ask you first. Do you think the relationship with Sony and Square Enix is a danger to Square Enix as a whole? Or do you think the problem might be something else secondarily?
Okay. Well, with Square Enix's, I believe it was one of their public earnings reports, to investors and the like. They straight up cited the fact that some of their biggest games were held back by this exclusivity deal. If they're acknowledging that in publicly available information, well, I say publicly available, you still kind of have to, know something where to find it, but that's neither here nor there. If they're saying that publicly, imagine what they're saying behind closed doors. I'm pretty sure they are acknowledging in the company, even if maybe the highest up on the totem pole aren't necessarily acknowledging it, are saying, yeah, this exclusivity is hurting us big time. Honestly, yeah, I think it's mostly the fact that they're maybe being forced into this exclusivity by Sony. I don't really know if that's 100% the fact, what's going on, but it's definitely, there's some amount of pressure coming from Sony, otherwise they wouldn't necessarily go along with it. Now, whether or not they're the highest up on a totem pole is being, what's the word I'm looking for here? Is being willfully ignorant or is just ignorant in general? Not sure. But he's certainly not helping the problem. Overall, I think it's mostly just Sony pushing them into this, and now at least Square Enix has publicly acknowledged that I don't know if they directly said Sony or PlayStation, but they said that they're going for a aggressive multi-platform strategy with their AAA games going forward. So it's kind of like saying it without saying it. But you're next, TM3.
I don't know. I don't think that the exclusivity of like Square Enix hurts them too much. I feel like they have a good. I feel like they have a good enough rapport with their people that enjoy their games, Square Enix games, Final Fantasy and whatnot. I believe they have enough money to support themselves. I feel like this is more of a save face. Like, yeah, we're willing to work with certain people. Don't worry, guys. We're not. I mean, we're exclusive, but I don't think they just. I think they're doing it so they can have avenues open for somebody who they would want to work with, but Sony temporarily right now.
Hey, let's recap what the issue is real quick. The CEO of Square Enix Holdings said that 16 and the remake of 7 that came out this year undersold and underperformed. The question is, do you think that the reason is because of Sony, or essentially the CEO is a fucking idiot?
Sony. Like, I'm all for calling CEOs idiots and everything and that in between, but I'm not so confident in the way Sony handles their games and their IPs. So anything thrown onto a Sony console gives me a bit of the ick. The best way to put it, it's like they don't really advertise things they should for their games, so I wouldn't expect them to do it for Final Fantasy. So I kind of blame it on Sony at least. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, well, you give short detail, you give long detail. It's up to you as an individual. Now, look, for me, I'm gonna just come out and say it. Sony's the easy motherfucker in the room to blame, because we all know the only reason they left the exclusivity deal in the first place was because, well, quite literally, they had a shitty CEO and they were making trash games that didn't need to be trash. They didn't need to take as long as they did. It was just so painfully obvious. The biggest issue Square Enix was having was internal, not external. Now, the downhill starts with a man by the name of Yoichi Wada. That guy is not someone who should have been running any game development studio for any point in time ever in his life. Okay? So I'm not going to sit up here and tell you guys verbatim, hey, sometimes a game just sucks. First off, duh? Who the fuck don't know that? What I'm going to tell you is, when it comes to these bigger corporations, there's usually a very small list of reasons why shit like that happens. A very, very, very small list of reasons. The only reason Final Fantasy 16 and 7 collectively underperformed is for one reason. The goddamn president of Square Enix doesn't understand how shit works. But he got to be the president. Same thing that happened with Avengers. And let's not forget, they love trying to remind us, oh, we don't care you don't like NFTs. Fuck you, we gonna do them anyway. They keep saying they're gonna invest in NFTs in the future, and NFTs in the future. But guess what? No one here remembers them or has seen them do anything with it.
The NFT ship sailed and sunk like years ago.
And then the nude guy who replaced him came in and said the same shit.
Fuck stupid.
Yep.
I mean, my expectations were low, but man.
But guess what? He did say the shit again. But like I stated earlier, they still haven't done shit. I legitimately think these mugs know or realized almost immediately they're torn between two worlds. They can't pull back and say, hey, we retract our statement about NFTs. And they can't go forward because, hey, well, we want you to buy the NFTs. And if people threaten to leave, dogpile on them, all this other shit, if they even dream about NFTs, let's be honest. Like, let's legitimately be honest with ourselves. They know they screwed. They know they screwed. Because here's the thing, we all know as gamers, when it comes to the world of RPGs, a lot of RPG gamers, and the average gamer is damn near 40. Does the average 40-year-old video gamer give two fucks about NFTs? Now, none of us are 40, at least to my knowledge.
Hell no.
But we all know the answer is hell no.
Mm-hmm.
I know a few in that age range, and yeah, I can confirm answer is hell no.
Yeah. So the fact that this is even a thought, just proves what we all know. These mugs literally do not comprehend that they are a company filled with individuals who know what they're doing, who have to answer to a motherfucker who doesn't know what they're doing. Like, really think about that. You can make the best game in the world, but your boss can't name one 3D animator, one graphic designer. He only knows whoever is in his administration office, and you know them mugs don't work on shit. You see how scary that is?
It's like, damn, why even try at that point? It's so hard to get into the industry.
Yeah, and I honestly think, that's why a lot of these older developers are jaded and shit. Shinji Mikami got it worse than almost everybody. The fact that he's still here is nothing short of either a miracle or some form of torture. Y'all remember how desensitized he was when Hi-Fi Rush, the studio that made Hi-Fi Rush that they put him in charge of, ended when he left? Like the week he left? His response was, oh, they're closing Tango Gameworks? That's sad. And then moved on. Almost immediately.
How sad, Alexa, play Despacito.
So,
Or something like that.
I think we're all pretty much in agreement. All bullshit aside, this is a problem that didn't need to exist. It didn't need to exist for one spectacular reason. These mugs know that they're the problem, but since they're an authority figure, no one is going to stop them. That's the problem. The only time they get stopped, I mean, unless you're Harada, who shits on them like religiously for decades at this point, but they know he's the golden goose. Here's what's going to happen. The only way they're going to get out is when they don't get a shareholder money. And that's the fucked up part. That's what happened to Rockstar. What did Rockstar want to be? They wanted to be the exact opposite of what they saw the game industry doing. Then what happened? They got a CEO in the company who literally said, nah, fuck all that. So now all of the original talent is pretty much gone. They made a new company. I forgot what they called it.
Do you think maybe Square Enix doesn't have that one employee who's there just to be the loud American?
I'm not even sure what you mean by that, but I know they don't, because
essentially it's a little thing, apparently something I've heard that some of these Japanese companies do, where they'll have someone there who will, basically be there to be, kind of loudmouth and kind of like a stereotypical American to, say to like a boss or a worker if, hey, you're doing something stupid.
Oh, I know they don't have that. And they don't have it for one particular reason. Because Square Enix, as a Japanese company and a Japanese holdings company, has almost no authority figures, as I was about to say, that are from outside of Japan. And the ones that are authority figures are not in a position to game develop. Even their junior game developers, and I think there's like 8 of them, none of them have even really left the country of Japan before, genetically and logistically. They don't have any, even though, as most companies have stated, they would not be able to sustain their size if they did not have an overseas market. That's true. But that does not translate to them putting foreigners in position of powers. They would rather hire you to work on a game individually and keep you around if you're good to give recommendations and shit than say, hey, let me make a game. How we think the game industry works and how the individual companies works are almost never in sync with one another. They got Americans involved. They said 16 was the first, if memory serves. The producer or the designer of 16 said this was the first game where we got an English speaker involved from the beginning, not just for localization. 16.
Honestly, 15 might have benefited from that.
First off, 15 is the definition of a clusterfuck.
True.
15 was salvageable. 15 was not salvageable, and I commend the dude who worked on it, Yoshinori Kitase, for fixing as much shit of it as he did. Because I can tell you right now, even if everything went as planned, that game was not magically going to be some cool ass game. And, you know, Tetsuya Nomura's first Final Fantasy game that he directs and shit like that and still come out good. Because let's be honest, we've already known the entire story of the original Versus 13. It was still stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he accidentally killed her in her dream world at the beginning of the game. Like, what the fuck what type of stupid shit is this? Like, there's nothing you can do to stop a perceived genius when the people he worked for perceives him as a genius. But also there's a perception or a stereotype that's become prevalent in Square Enix or Square Enix fans where we believe that, you know, he is put in positions of authority and power over the game development and game design. And because of that, a lot of things that are his fault aren't his fault. But guess what? A lot of things are also his fault. He doesn't want to clarify because he doesn't want to take the smoke, or he doesn't want to face negative ramifications for anything he's done. Now, the problem with that is that you always end up in the same position, Tetsuya Nomura. You claim, hey, I didn't do that thing that you said I did. Okay, well, let's go over the things you did do that are your fucking fault. He likes pretending he's not online, but no. He secretly has multiple social media accounts. Although it's not really a secret, but what is a secret is what these names go under. But yeah, he sees social media, he reads and looks at the social media, and then he gets mad and makes false threats that don't mean shit. So honestly, it's their own fault. It's a hell of their own making, and it doesn't have to even happen. All they have to do is make good games, acknowledge what systems you're putting them on, and then go off with a scale and ratio of that. Because the problem with the idiots on the internet, or people who just want to try to survive off YouTube, what's the first thing they do? They'll make a video off of any little paragraph and sentence and try to stretch it into 10 minutes by telling you they found out this new epic thing, clickbait thumbnail, clickbait title. And really, they literally just repeated the one sentence that the CEO said. Oh, 16 and 7 Remake Part 2 underperformed. And almost none of them mentioned, I'm like, hey, dumbass. Why are you comparing it to 7 Remake Part 1 when that thing was released on 2 different platforms? PC, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4. Now this one's exclusively for the PlayStation 5. Well, that's automatically a smaller user base. But here's the crazy part. It was like 40% adoption rate or something. And then my personal favorite. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I've been bitching about it. It's been pissing me off forever. You know when someone talks about something making low unit sales or low sales, they don't have the full sales data. They never have. Listen, physical sales data is tracked from a physical purchase. But most Americans can only find the USA physical sales production data or the continental America's sales data for North and South. But guess what that doesn't include? The digital sales.
Yeah, I was about to say digital sales.
Yeah. But they pretend that they have all the sales data. Oh, well, hey, look, this guy fell off because he only sold 100,000 records. Well, he's got 4 million digital downloads of his entire album. And he's being streamed to the point of going up like 20 ranks on streaming services. But nah, fuck this guy. His shit is whack. It is the weirdest thing. People listen to the internet who shouldn't be listening to the internet about the sales of their own products or their own artist, and now for the gaming and the graphic novel industry. Oh my God. It is so annoying. You never get anybody's full sales data unless you literally stole it. If we hear Spider-Man 2 sold 2 million physical copies and Sony does not respond, guess what? That doesn't tell us the digital sales. And they don't have to tell nobody the digital sales.
No.
In North America, every $1 million has to have a paper trail. And I don't mean money. Reagan signed that into law a long time ago. Okay? If you sell 1 million physical game copies, it's because someone just looked up sales data for the area that they in or for the entire planet. And that's only physical sales data. There is no way given for companies to go out of their way to give away the sales data for their shit that's coming from fucking Korea, Africa, Egypt of all places and shit like that to an American. You're never looking at the full sales. So why are you speaking like it is? That's okay. You're never looking at the full sales data. So why are you fucking lying and acting like you have access to it all? It's legitimately annoying. All right. So yeah, that's how I feel. I think the problem is literally we have an idiot in the highest position in the gaming division of Square Enix Holdings. They can lie and bullshit all they want to, but the problem is that when he opens his mouth, we immediately can hear the ignorance coming out of it. It didn't do as well as the last game. Motherfucker, you only put it on one system. Anyways, with that being said, TM3, appreciate you coming through, man. It's been a long time. Look forward to have you come through more. And for you listeners out there, look forward to 2 episodes to make up for the strep throat issues I've been having. Next one will more than likely be related to Mega Man, or it may come out before this video. All right, with that being said, I will see you guys when I see you guys.